Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save the tears, I'm giving to someone
Yes, folks, we are here.
Hello.
And I also want to acknowledge everybody out there, guys. Thank you for joining me on Chasing Shadows, Shadow Chasing Show. And we're going to be kicking butt and taking names today because we got something really special. I asked a good friend of mine that he's been sharing this information of great information that relates to Christmas. And there's all kinds of stories that people talk about, the real story of Christmas, the Christmas traditions, the St. Nicholas, and how the 25th became the birthday for the solar Messiah. And also, which basically relates to the Gnostic Gospels and connections to Horus, Okay, because my good friend that knows all this stuff or has learned all about this stuff and through great information is this fellow here he works as an alternative researcher and a futurist. He's the host of the Gaia program called Mysteries Teachings, and he's an author and a lecturer. And I've had him on my show many times before. And this man has traveled all across the world, just like Santa, bringing cheers and joy to all little boys and girls. And because whenever he shares information out there, man, it's just like having a big present shoved right in your hand. Say, here, you should listen to this one. Here, you should see this. And it's a gift in itself. This man has traveled to Egypt. He's traveled to so many parts of Europe. And he's learned about this information. Like he's a world traveler. This is why this guy has great knowledge. And so right now he's actually traveling in the North Pole region. So he's all over the world. I'm not going to say where he's at right now because this man's everywhere. If I say he's one place, no, he's somewhere else. So this way I just say the North Pole region because we're always heading to the North Star. And I want to thank everybody for joining me in the chat rooms, the Facebook chat room, as well as YouTube. Thank you guys for being there, both of you. And we are here. Yes, and it is live in the studio. And my good friend is the one and only Johnny Enoch. How you doing, my friend?
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. I always love listening to your show, and I love all your guests and listeners. They always ask the best questions. So thank you for having me on there.
You're welcome. Now, the reason why nobody gets to see Johnny, because like I said, he's out of sight, out of mind. No, just out of sight, not out of mind. And he's out of sight. He's like I said, he's everywhere right now. So at least I got him live in the studio. He's on the phone with me, so it makes it a lot easier. And then I have my blaster here, so you get to hear him well, I hope, which I do think so. So anyways, if you guys are able to get into the chat room, I'm actually in Facebook chat room as well as YouTube. And you go into my page on Facebook and or YouTube, you can always have a look. And I'm in there somewhere. And if Johnny knows anybody around himself that he said, hey, go over here, you'll find Derrick there. So my good friend, how's it going out there? You've been busy.
Yeah, thanks for asking, Derrick. Things have been very busy this year, traveling around the world, going to Egypt, these foreign countries. And sometimes travel doesn't always work out the way that you thought it would work out, but you're just going to roll with it. And that's where the experiences come from. That's where the good stories come from. And I'm just very happy to be here with you and everyone listening.
Now, you recently did a documentary, or I actually shared it on the Facebook, and that was the Gnostic gospel and the connections to Horus. But also, I would say for our viewers and listeners out there, folks, we're going to be talking about the real story of Christmas. This is the reason why I want to make this as an extra special program, because when I thought of Johnny, I thought, you know what? This is going to work, because a lot of people have always debated what Christmas really is. Sure, we always think that Christmas relates to Jesus. Some people still relate to Christmas to Santa Claus. People relate Christmas to just even joyous family coming together. And there's so many other reasons why people celebrate Christmas differently. Everybody celebrates it way different in other countries, but they still relate to coming together as a family, community, you name it. And they're always trying to bring joy and happiness. So if I can have our good friend Johnny, what's your thoughts about the real story of Christmas? What made you decide to research this?
Well, thank you for having me on your show, Derrick. I really truly believe that the traditions that we call Christmas go back to ancient Atlantis. The idea that it's Jesus' birthday is obviously untenable, because we know that Jesus was not born around that day, but it was a great compliment to him to be attributed to him as his birthday. There's always been a solar Messiah in the world. There's always been this ancient connection to the sun dying on the 22nd, the 23rd, the 24th, and then coming back toward its movement into the northern hemisphere around the 25th. We have a lot of monuments in the world that really show us that, from Newgrange in Ireland to Karnak in Egypt, that there are these solar alignments. I would say that there is a very ancient secret there when we look further into what it means. And so beautiful.
You're there.
There's no doubt about it. It's probably one of the most special days of the year, but there's so much symbolism involved with it.
Yes.
And really, when we go back into its astrotheology, we see that 90 degrees after the constellation of Leo, like when Leo comes up in the sky, we start to move into the fall.
Yeah.
And in the fall, what do we find there? We find Virgo. Virgo the Virgin. This is Bethlehem. And this is the house of bread. From there, we go through a particular transition that's very important, that we find, we go through Scorpio with Judas, who's, giving this particular kiss, the backbite of the scorpion. And this is very much symbolic in the story that we see in the Bible, the New Testament. And we see the scales of justice being weighed with Libra. We go through a particular journey that leads us up into this very, very special day that we find ourselves at. And we find the whole entire Bible is encoded with astrotheology. And so what I want to say is that when you look at the story of Christmas, we can't just say, hey, this is a pagan story, this is something bad, this is something evil. It's a very beautiful, ancient story that tells us of the journey of the Son. And it doesn't discount the life of Jesus, but it also shows us that there's something more going on there.
Mm-hmm.
You had spent some time with Jordan Maxwell when you were alive, right?
Yeah.
Or when he was alive.
When I was alive, yeah. I'm really alive. When he was alive, yeah, I did.
Yeah, and he told you the story, and this is the thing. He always told the story so eloquently, and that's the most beautiful thing about it, is that I think that we see that there's a bigger picture going on, that there's something more ancient there. And people like to say that, let's say, oh, the Christmas tree is evil. Well, we know it's not evil. We know that it goes back into the Bible. They had the Jesse trees in the Bible. We know that when Osiris was killed in the Bible, biblical version that we relate over to the Egyptians, that the sprig and acacia sprung out of the ground. We see that we go back into the Phrygians and we find that there was an evergreen there, that there is a story that we can relate, goes back from time memorial. So all of this stuff that we see is very, very important because it shows us our ancient roots and who we are. And I truly believe that the Christmas story is one of the most ancient stories in our past.
And yeah, a lot of people call it the Christmas or the Christ Mass. And whether it relates to a Christian belief, the Mass coming together, or, I don't know. But I've always understood Christmas as a kid. When you're a child growing up, your parents are doing the same thing as what they, do for generation. We come in, we share, our parents are telling us about the Christmas tree. My father and I, we gather. My father got me to come with him to the bush. We were able to find an evergreen of our own. We cut it down, whether it's a fir or a spruce, you choose. And the height of the ceiling, my dad would actually say, okay, well, this is how tall it should be. By the time you get home, and you bring that huge tree. I got a chance to cut the tree down myself. And, it's considered as like, oh, I cut a tree down, for my, with my dad. And I bring it home. My father sets it up on these old fashioned stands, puts water under it and the whole 9 yards. I mean, this is live trees, folks. And this is back in the 60s when I was a kid. And I remember helping him set it up. And my father, made sure it worked. Put in the big old tub, underneath the tree. And then we put paper around it so it doesn't look like it's in a tub. And then we decorated it. But the decorations we used were not like what you have today. These are just pretty well, most of them are handmade. And but the thing is that everyone gathered around the tree. And then the most important part that we have always thought was the last thing you put on top of the tree was the angel. and whoever the child is
Yeah.
chosen to put the last of the angel on top of the tree. So again, that's considered as a Christmas tradition. And I've noticed now today, our Christmases are not spent as much with family as they used to, because everyone's spending so much time away from each other. I know parents work 2 jobs, 3 jobs to get, make sure they're able to get gifts for the kids and families, whatever have you. But that's understandable, because it was like that in my generation too. But what the parents did actually do, they made sure that that child had something that they would appreciate, because it was still bringing the joy to a child's heart.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The season of Christmas is very special because we know the angels of Capricorn have gathered around the earth at this particular time.
Yeah.
Everything has gone into itself because the snow is on the ground, there's frost on the ground. It has retreated into itself. And this is an introspective journey we all take. However, I do want to say with Christmas, there's a lot of traditions that we've accepted over time. We don't know where they come from. So, for example, the European Christmas traditions are much different than over here. And I've talked about this before.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite funny that in Europe, when you're there, let's just take Hungary, for example. Kids will write letters, not to Santa. They write letters to the baby Jesus, the tiny Jesus. They call him the Jezuska. And they write letters to him and say, hey, this is what I want to get for Christmas, XYZ. And by around December 3rd, Santa, St. Nicholas, comes for a visit. Now, St. Nicholas, when he comes for a visit, a lot of people don't know is that St. Nicholas is actually the patron saint of prostitutes. Because what St. Nicholas used to do is he used to go around and see all these prostitutes around the time of the Ecumenical Council and the Council of Nicaea, 325 CE, and he put chocolates out in their shoes to keep them busy while he was with their mothers. And
what?
Yeah, this is absolute fact. St. Nicholas, this is what he was all about.
Well, he's bringing joy to the ho, ho, ho.
So yeah, ho, ho, ho is right. So he would go around. He was the patron saint of prostitutes. But the one thing is that if they were bad, then this demon would come around called the Krampus, and he would beat the hell out of them with something called the Virgash, which was like a bundle of twigs, right?
Mm.
So after that, Santa would come around the 24th, and he would, no, sorry, not Santa, Jesus. Jesus would come around,
Jesus would come,
and Jesus would slide down the chimney, and he would somehow grow from the tiny Jesus, the Jezuska, and he would slide down the chimney and bring their presents and put the tree up, and then he would like take them and get out of there. But the Krampus was this demon that would beat everybody if they were bad. But Santa only came around the 3rd, and this is the tradition over there, which is much different than what we practice in America. The traditions that we have in America really started to be marketed by the Coca-Cola company that we got the colors red and white from for Santa Claus. I would say that it's a very interesting tradition because no one can argue that it's a very special time of the year, the winter solstice. We have monuments around the world that celebrate it. We feel it. We come together. We feel this love. We feel this energy. We feel this rekindling of things and reassessing everything that we've gone through. And yeah, it's very strange where all of our practices come from, isn't it?
Well, you think about it, Johnny. I remember them saying that even Santa Claus was not just it was C-L-A-U-S. It was actually C-L-A-U-S-E, Santa Claus, which is supposed to be connected to the Dutch as well as Turkey, as well as Germany. So his name has gotten so changed or influenced around like crazy. And I got to tell people this. If it wasn't for a country music singer back in the 1930s, if it wasn't for him to sing the song, Here Comes Santa Claus would never been even thought of ever in any media before Coca-Cola. So, wow. This is how history has brought itself forward, because this man, when they played a song a country music song, Here Comes Santa Claus, and and if it wasn't for him to sing that song, none of these kids um, would ever even know the song of Santa Claus. They would never sing the song of Santa Claus, and no other singer would sing any song about any other Santa Claus, because it was that one man's song. So, we go through a lot of influences, and like you said earlier too, there are so many people now out there, they're thinking they know they research, they're thinking that even they're believing that Christmas is satanic. They're going, oh, well, it's Satan Claus. No, my heart, it doesn't feel that way. It's like, why would we celebrate something that if we feel it's good and it's hurt and there's no hurtful, there's no pain, you're not hurting anyone, you're not stealing anything away from anyone. So why would anybody want to come up with that idea? But people are saying, oh, because he's wearing red. Well, they did the same thing with the Europeans. The priests did the same thing with the First Nations when they saw them back in the 1650s, when the French came to shore, and they saw the Indians from a distance in the summertime, mid-July, when they landed on the beach, and they saw the Indians look red, and they related them to the devil. So again, all of this is influenced by the churches and the beliefs. So we've got so many things that have been pushed in cause of negativeness. But people need to understand, I don't really feel Christmas actually, or Christmas, whatever how you want to say it, is a negative. It's more of, like Johnny said, the research goes even way further back. Way further back. Like,
What?
let's talk about what is the solar Messiah? What does that mean when they say the December 25th became the birthday for the solar Messiah?
Okay, so what it means by the solar Messiah is that the birth date of Jesus is greatly disputed in the Bible about when he actually would have been born. From when we talk about John the Baptist, or we make certain references, but there's been many different solar messiahs that came before Jesus. And that doesn't mean Jesus didn't exist.
Yeah.
We've had Dionysus, we've had Horus, we've had Mithra. They all had 12 helpers or 12 disciples, which means like the 12 constellations. And they all had this birth date around December 25th. It just means it was a great compliment that was paid to him at that particular time. And I believe it's a very sacred time of the year. And I do believe that it's something that we should, look within ourselves and how we feel at this time of the year, and definitely pay attention to the energies around us. However, it's interesting that the church adopted these traditions, and they brought them in, and they adopted them, and they put them onto Jesus, which is a great compliment over to him as someone of great importance. However, I do think that when we look at this day and how it makes us feel, it's a great transition of these energies that are transforming all around us. What do you feel at this time of the year, Derrick?
Well, I'll tell you this. Through my research, now I'm going to go a little bit of Tartarian, because through some of my research, sure, they had fireplaces, but not every fireplace had an active fire. They actually, if you look at some of the peaks and the points that people have on some of these cathedrals, those peaks and points off the cathedrals were electronic units. Those, because we had free energy back then, way far back times, like where Tesla would create. So those were generators. These are basically to generate the home. So that's why, if you think about this, if Jesus came down the chimney, he didn't come down a chimney of soot. He came to a chimney that was, again, if you want to decorate the tree or set up the tree or give presents. But that's how I've always understood that part. Even if Santa Claus did come down, and then I know watching so many movies and stories, and they always say that Santa Claus shrinks himself coming down the chimney. So really, what they've done, they've taken Jesus out of the picture coming down the chimney, and they replaced him with Santa Claus, because they called him Saint Nicholas or Saint Nick. And then now he's abbreviated his name to Nick and Nick Claus. There's always going to be changes put into a character. And I mean, here's something else. So sure, were there really toys made for the children? And I remember them talking about the coal. Here's a story about the coal. Johnny, do you know anything about a story regarding the coal where they were using that in Christmas? Why the coal
What's
came
that?
about? Do you remember this? Do you remember the story that they talk about the coal, that they were handing
Yeah.
coal to the children? Now, whether you're naughty or nice, that coal had a purpose, because it wasn't just giving you a piece of coal and think, oh, well, you're bad. That coal was to keep you warm, because back then they never had electricity. They had fireplaces. So that was a bonus. But why would somebody use a tradition and say coal was a negative?
Well, I do believe that these stories come from very ancient times and they've been passed down to us and they have lots of significance. However, with Santa Claus, there's so many different layers to that of why that's important to us at this time of the year. And also, I mean, think about the religious significance, though. We bring it back to that, Derek, at this time of the year.
Sure.
Why is it so significant that our ancient religions and ancient monuments, from Karnak to Newgrange, and even in the Yucatan over at the various pyramids in Mexico, they've encoded this story. Why is it so important that the sun was coming back? Why was it so important to them that this was significant to their spiritual evolution? I believe that the sun was seen as this enormous representation of God coming back as the light of the world. And I believe that it was seen as a cycle in our lives. Have you seen anything like this in the Métis traditions?
No, most people in the community, we were just like everybody else. We would, hunt for your food, or you would get your tree, and that's pretty well. We're like everybody else living in the city or in the country. You're like a farmer, so to speak. You're farming. There is not really any differences. You had goose. Sometimes you don't have wild turkey, you got a goose. Not often people that had ham. That would be living in the inner city, because they believe that ham was higher class in the community. That's why they put the apple in the mouth. You guys know the history of the apple in the mouth of the pig? Think about it. What was the apple representing? Johnny, you know that. What's the apple representing putting into the mouth of the pig?
Yeah. So the one thing is, though, within these various traditions that we see that go back into the ancient world, I think that it's amazing that today we're still practicing them. But I do see, since the last few years, we've replaced a lot of our association with Christmas and materialism with the overall getting together with family and connecting and energy, which is very important, right?
Definitely. What about the elves? We talk about the elves. Everybody's putting these elves are supposed to be toy makers for Santa, so to speak. Is there anything to do with the elf? Had elf had any significance through history as well with Santa Claus? Do you know anything about that?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we had various ancient legends of the places like Atlantis and Lemuria, but of course, in the far north, we heard about all kinds of different stories about smaller people that were fighting against storks and various other disasters that were coming towards them. Like the map maker Mercator talked about this in Greenland or northern Canada. And we have this idea that there was this other type of smaller beings that were called Homo floresis, almost like hobbits. And they were located in Indonesia. So J.R.R. Tolkien most certainly talked about this in Lord of the Rings and other stories. There is an ancient history we have that has been covered up that I think we're just starting to uncover. And I think we see that in a lot of our myths and legends.
Yeah.
It's rather amazing that we find them today in, our nursery rhymes and tales and mythology, but all of this stuff was there at some point. I know you've had some very interesting experiences, encounters with certain beings, right?
Not at Christmas time.
Can you tell everyone about the brownie that you encountered?
Oh, the brownie. That was actually at Christmas time. I forgot about that. I was 10, living in Brandon, in Manitoba. I was 10 years old. I was actually laying down, like I was sleeping. I got to spend the weekend with my grandma and grandpa. And mom and dad were working, I think, at the time. And so I spent the weekend with my grandma, and I slept on the couch. And I remember being like, if you think about it, folks, you got street lights up and down all these streets. I mean, my grandma was living in the city, and all these street lights are quite bright. I mean, she had, he got a huge front window, so you can pretty well get an idea that there's no way anybody can break into a house when you got street lights. So, anyways, wow. I was laying on the couch in the living room, and I can hear little voices talking. And I thought, but they're talking to each other, like words, like, shh, don't say anything. There's somebody in there. Quiet. Don't make noise. Like that's that way of saying it. And so I can hear the voices, and I open my eyes, and this is 2:00 in the morning, folks. 2:00 in the morning, because my grandmother had a old cuckoo clock on the wall in the living room where I'm sleeping. So all you hear is tick, 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 tick. And every time, it'll always go do, 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 whatever the time. Like if it goes 3:00, it'll go do, 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 do. Like that's usual cuckoo clock. We don't have those now as many as people used to have. But I remember when it went 2:00, and I strongly felt that when I opened my eyes, and I didn't lift my head up. I was just laying there, and I look at the ceiling, and in the ceiling has a light bulb. There's no ceiling lamp, just a light bulb. And I'm looking, and I hear two little people arguing with each other. And then I turn around. I'm actually looking slightly, not moving my head, just looking carefully, and I'm watching this light bulb unscrew itself from the ceiling. Like it's unscrewing down. I went, no. And the next thing you know, I see a little hand holding on to the end of the light bulb, and the bulb came up sideways, and the little head come peeping out, and he was spinning around like this, upside down, looking around. Then he sees me, and I went, hi. Boom. He was like this. He backed up and unscrewed the light bulb back into the ceiling, and they ran away. You hear this, gone. So I pretty well know, having to see a brownie, that's one of them. And then the second one story is my daughter. When she was on the island visiting her best friend, her best friend had she stayed over her best friend's place, and she went to her house, and she introduced her to a person size of a cat. Okay, it was like, it looks like a mid-sized look of a cat, but its back was facing her, but it was wearing clothes. Okay, and she thought maybe she dressed up her cat. No. The guy got up, like the character, I guess would say, this person, they call them brownies. He got up his hind feet, standing upright, wearing boots, like Puss in Boots, so to speak. It's true. And he had his own boots, his own clothes. And he turned around, looked at her, and he talked to her. And he said he was from Scotland. Now, how those two met was, she was at the docks picking up someone that she knew from there to go for lunch. And she saw this little guy laying down in tattered clothes, starving, like pretty well almost starved to death, almost dying. And he was laying on the ground sideways on this chunk of grass. So she went over, thought he was dead. She picked him up, and he was still breathing. So she took him home and cared for him. Then when he got taken care of, he swore up and down. Well, he basically gave his dedication of his life and told her that he's not going to leave her or go back to Scotland. He said he's going to stay with her the rest of his life, or rest of her life. Apparently they lived for a long, long time. So, but how he got from Scotland is because he actually snuck on the ship to get some food, but the boat left too soon, and he got stuck on the ship, and he starved to death on the ship because there's no food available for him on being on the ship. So he was stuck in the storm and the rains, and when it traveled from all the way from Scotland to Vancouver Island. So, and my daughter would never lie to me because she's seen the brownie, because that's exactly what they look like.
Absolutely, she wouldn't.
They stand about 12 inches to 14 inches tall, standing upright. And like I tell people, you think you know everything. You think you're the only human people in the world. No, they are little people. And fortunately for her, her best friend was able to have, still has this little friend with her for a long time. So, and why has he not been exposed in public for everyone to see? It's his decision. But if he was exposed to the public, he would be destroyed, because the government would come in, scoop him up, and you're gone. Because they don't want you to know that other people, little people, even that small, exist. So, and my daughter, like I said, my daughter would never lie to me. She's, Dad, you got to see this. And I said, I've already seen them.
I know you've seen a lot of amazing things in your life, Derrick, and that's what I try to convey to people, that the beings that you've experienced, whether it's ETs, whether it's fairies, whether it's interdimensional beings, these beings are all around us. They are watching us. They are real. That these alignments that we experience, especially this time of the year, like we talk about Christmas. Why is that so important? Well, once you move past the religious traditions, all the, fables and mythologies, that there is a serious alignment that happens. It does shift the dimensional levels, and it opens us up to greater perceptions. But there's no words to describe it when you do have one of these experiences for yourself. And you've had many clients come into your office and talk about similar experiences, right?
Yeah. Here's the thing. Why would I've always been curious, why would December 25th be, even though Christ did appreciate, Jesus did appreciate the I know what his true birth date is, of September. But why would they use December 25? Now, some people will say, one time they say, oh, because it's satanic. No, it's not.
Again, man, it has to do with the solar alignment. So if you go over to Newgrange in Ireland, as I was saying, and you see that there is a enormous monument that has a crux chamber, like a cross chamber, with an alignment during those days where the sun starts to come back and fills up the light in those chambers, and everyone wants to line up and see it.
Yeah.
What you start to see is that there are energy shifts on our Earth, that our solar system has certain alignments or galactic alignments. There's a reason we have astrotheology or astrology, that there is a reason for all of this stuff. And that is a very important part of our year. Like, it's not just about giving presents to people. It's not just about like getting together or going out and maxing out our credit cards, that there is an enormous energy that gets shifted this time of the year, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Here's one for you. Do you think giants before us celebrated Christmas?
What's that?
Do you think giant people that are giants, like as in double the size of us, height, weight, mass, do you think they could have celebrated Christmas?
What's that? What's that about giants in the past?
Okay. Someone actually says that, like, we were talking about the little people, right? And we're talking about the brownies. Now, I'm not talking about folks, those who just coming in the chat room. Thank you for joining us. We're not talking about brownies, little girls that sell cookies. This is little people. They're even smaller than the girls. Okay.
No, here's the thing. At some point on Earth, 50,000 years back, when we go back into our history, we had less gravity and there was more oxygen on the Earth. So there was giants on the Earth.
Yes.
That was most certainly the case. And I do believe that was the case when we look at the Tartarians and all these different various ancient empires and the things that were here. However, I do think that there's a part of our history that has been covered up, and it's all part of these traditions that we carry on today. Are you saying that, from what I've gathered in your previous posts and things, that do you think that there are giants around today?
Well, not in that way, but I want to say is, I wonder if the giants before us celebrated Christmas as well. Before we became in existence as known, but I wonder if giants celebrated Christmas the same way.
I want to say that I think Christmas is much more ancient than we think.
Yeah.
I think that it was a very ancient tradition that was practiced for a very long time on our planet that goes back, oh God, man, to the Atlanteans and the Tartarians. Goes back way before this.
Way before.
And I want to say that it's one of the most ancient practices on the planet.
So I would say for the public to know, you know, as far as this is my own opinion, but I would say that we need to take that negativeness out of it. And like Johnny said earlier, this is not just pagan belief. This is way before even pagan even existed. So this is something that's been around for a long, long time, thousands of years. However, like Johnny tells the story, folks, that when he said earlier that Jesus himself was supposed to be, by the practice of the country that he spoke of, that they believe that Jesus came down the chimney and was responsible for the decorations and this whole thing instead of Santa Claus. So basically what they've done is does that make any sense? They've changed the whole story. Because for example, I watched some of the Christmas celebrations in Ireland. I watched Christmas celebrations in Scotland. I watched Christmas celebrations even in England, and some of them in other countries, and they're way different. Krampus is very, very big in Germany. Okay, heavily in Germany. I mean, people dress up as Krampus. Not just one. I'm talking about like 20 of them walking up and down the street. Like, they scare the living crap out of the kids. I know, like, this is pretty. People are so celebrative in characters. They go 100%. You seldom ever see a Santa Claus. You see more Krampuses than Santa Claus.
Yeah, no, the crazy thing about that is that the Christmas celebrations we have around the world, they differ. And what people believe, like I said, in Europe, they have the Krampus, the demon that comes and beats you if you're not doing well. However, I truly believe that whatever way you look at it, we all have some sort of tradition about the sun coming back and why it's important. And the sun, when we look at that micro, macro cosmic perspective of how it represents God's light in the world and why it's important. I don't think the ancients were actually sun worshipers, Derek. They never were at any time.
No.
They just literally saw it as a representation of God's light. So that's the most important thing. When we look at the ancient Egyptians, to the Hindu traditions, to whatever it is, it just literally always was personified into these particular characters. So I think the most important thing is that we do come around together and we share that love, that light, that good energy. And that's that really is the most important part about this year.
How about, here's one for you folks. Here's one for our listeners and viewers. Even though Jesus was supposed to be born, okay, to celebrate the birth of Jesus, but who were really the three wise men? Who were really the three wise men? Would you know, Johnny?
I would say, if I had to say it, I'd say that at some point we may have had actual people that were there. However, they were represented by the stars in the sky. You know, the stars that were connected to Sirius, leading to the rise of the morning star. I'd say that there is a lot of astrotheological things that were encoded into the story, with the actual hidden in the literal. I don't know if we can actually take any story from the ancient world and take it literally. We have to look at it on many different levels. We have to decode it. But at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of very important information that's encoded in the Bible, in these ancient texts. And when we all look at it, we decipher it, and we meditate on it, we apply it to our lives.
Mm-hmm.
It has different meaning for all of us. And it really doesn't matter if Jesus was born on December 25th or he was born in September or April or wherever we think he was born. What are the teachings that we get from these ancient holy books? What do they mean to us? And if we can apply them at that time of the year, if we can look at them from an introspective journey, what do they tell us? What do you feel this time of the year in your heart? What do you feel this time of the year when you look around you? Like, do you see people being more giving, more kind, more compassionate, more caring? What do you feel?
Well, I would say they're more caring because after Christmas is done, then they have Boxing Day and everybody's more mean. They fight each other for that next present, or they fight for the food. I don't know. I know very well that if you look at every movie, every book, every story, anything that relates to Christmas, even just the name Christmas, Christmas, I will use the words, 3 words, Tom, Dick, and Harry. I mean, all 3 men, 3 wise men, they have been trying so hard. Like this is what they try to do, is gather the people to all of these events and make it eventful. I mean, look at the people now that they have what you call candy cane lanes. Everyone now is getting, everybody now wants to compete to have the most decorative house, which is wonderful. People love it. You're bringing families and friends and making new friends everywhere you go. I think because we've dealt with so much negativeness for so many years, over the last 3-4 years, the fear mongering that people could not come together, and that bothered a lot of people. You know, when they wanted to bring family together and they could not, and if they did, they actually were only able to see each other on camera or virtual, so to speak. And that became heart-wrenching because, you know, it was so difficult for people to not gather, even though they tried to make the best of it. But this is the thing. Human nature, humankind always wants to come together, and to be there. Now, we got Catherine in the chat room. She goes, one needs to research the hidden Bibles to aid your journey. Christopher Glynn. Okay. There's a lot of people in there. If anybody's seen the movie, watch Candy Cane Lane. It's worth it. It's funny as all heck, but it's fun. They put everything characterization in it. It's funny as all heck. But you got to have fun. You got to enjoy yourself. And I know very well there have been a lot of lives. People have passed away during Christmas. People are born on Christmas. I mean, one of my very good friends, dear friend, had passed away, Barb Leonard. Her birthday was December 25th. She was born at Christmas Day. No, sorry, not her. I take it back. It's another lady friend of mine is born to December 25th on the birthday. She herself, Barbara herself, was born on the October 31st. She was born on Halloween, on Hallows Eve, which is crazy, but she became a medium growing up. It's amazing because there are so many children, and you'll always find it. Any child or child being born, and they're born on Christmas Day, they'll always have a Christian, somehow a name that relates to God. They'll name the boy Chris, or
she was born on Christmas.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And another part too that I get a kick out of is, or if you talk about here's one for you. Like they talk about the New Year's baby. Where did that come in? I mean, history of the New Year's baby. I mean, that's interesting because it shows a little baby fighting the old man, and they're fighting back and forth. The old man does not want to give up the day or the year of what he lived. The baby wants, my throat's going crazy tonight, and the baby wants to bring in the new year. It's so basically it's the young fighting the older or the elder.
Well, I'll tell you this, Derek. The most interesting thing for me is that, I'm always traveling. Even right now, I just landed and I'm constantly traveling to some new place. Everywhere I go in the world, people, they think of Christmas as a very special day. Sometimes they celebrate it at the beginning of the new year. They celebrate it in Europe a few days earlier than we do. It's something that is significant to everybody, where they observe it and they look at it as a transition of energy. And I don't think we can get around it that there's something that happens at this time of the year where we look within ourselves, when we look to be more generous, more kind, more loving, more healing. I think it's a very special time of the year, and I think it goes beyond every single tradition. And whether you look at Santa Claus or Jesus or whoever you want to put as the spokesperson or the face in front of it, that doesn't matter. It definitely changes us, and it's somewhat of a renewal. And we look into our lives and we say, how can we make them better? What can we do better for the next year? So what I can see is that the last few years have been very hard on all of us. We've gone through a lot. We've gone through a lot of difficulties. We went through some challenges, as you know, within these various restrictions we had. And now it's time to restart our lives. It's time for a fresh start. It's time to move forward in the most amazing way possible. And I know that's what you try to do from the very beginning, is empower people. So I say that's what we look to all these traditions. We say, let's put them all together and say, why did the ancients look at this? Why did they say that it's so important to them? And say, why can't we take that and then restart our lives and create the most beautiful, amazing outcomes? Because everyone listening to this is a great and mighty, powerful spiritual being with dignity, direction, and purpose. And we have the most beautiful and most amazing lives that we can create like a canvas. So let's do that. Let's use this Christmas season with all the traditions, whether it's Santa Claus, whether it's Krampus, whatever it is. Let's use it to enhance our lives and to propel us forward,
Yeah. We got one person in the chat room, and she says, December 25, she says, now these are her words. She's writing in there. She says, actually a satanic celebration, the day on the Gregorian calendar. Now,
why is it satanic? Because they say Saturn is related to Santa.
Yeah. And all this, and she says, she says that she posts all the high dates that the dark arts celebrate and satanic rituals. If they did practice satanic rituals on the 25th, it would be a negative energy to everyone. But most people need to understand there is a high energy in the world. Love, light, and the Christ light is far more stronger than any day than anyone wants to write or read about. If others follow others believing this is what it is, I mean, sure, we do have the Gregorian calendars and we have the original calendar that got changed, but that's going to be changed back to where it should be. Okay. And in time it will be, but right now we are all, what this whole story is about, reason why they keep on making people believe that 25 is satanic, so they don't have you celebrate any celebration whatsoever, so you cannot come together at all. That's why they wrote that in there. Okay, that's their purpose. They don't want you coming together as a community. They want you coming together as a world gathering. They don't want no love. They don't want no huggers. They don't want no people supporting each other, helping each other. So they put that letter, name and number down there and saying, oh, it's all satanic. So, and basically they want to get people not to celebrate it at all. I don't care whatever date it is. We already know that Christ is born in September. We already know that the true spring is actually March. The first year was supposed to be March because we're supposed to have 13 months of the year, not 12. That, yes, the popes changed that. Why? Because it had something to do with daylight savings time. They changed it because of the time of the light. And they didn't. That was when a priest did not like having to work. He wanted to work longer hours, and so he had to change it. So he figured he's going to change it all around. Okay. So the thing is,
yeah, no, I want to say this, Derek. Right now, I do have to go and attend to a family member, but I just want to say to all of your listeners and to you, thank you for having me on here. I just want to say to everybody listening, this year has been hard on all of us. The last few years have been difficult for all of us. I know you guys have been listening to Derek, and he's been helping you get through it. But I want to tell you that there is great things happening for all of us. We have an amazing future to look forward to. And you're all a precious, powerful, multidimensional being who's love beyond belief. And this time of the year reminds us of that. It is relative to all of us. And there is so much that is going to change in this world. There's so much that we've done that's so great. And I love you all. Thank you for listening to Derek. Keep listening to him. Keep tuning into him because he's helping you. And I love you all.
Thank you for being part of the program, Johnny.
Thank you so much.
We'll talk to you later.
I love you, brother.
Take care.
Take care.
So, yeah, what happened was one of his very close friends' mom passed away today. So that's why Johnny had to leave a little earlier. A couple of days ago, I lost a very close friend's family's daughter. They were in a car accident yesterday. And so, I mean, Christmas is sometimes can become hard on people, that people have a hard time dealing with that memory. Why I was going to go into this, because, you know, like I said before, there's a negative of it. People like to share, but there's actually more positive in it than you think. And I'll say this: as myself, when I was a kid growing up, everything was positive. Everything was celebrative. Okay. When the community in the cities got together, no one hated each other. People wanted to be together, even though if it's just for that one day, because that one day was special. Nobody wanted to argue, but you had the odd argument because they wanted to see who's going to cut the turkey first. The person who was the head of the table got to cut the turkey, or the ham, or whichever animal you want to cut to serve. There's always a certain special moment in people's lives that people have a purpose. And this is what I've been trying to share with you people. That's why I try to get Johnny on, because the real story of Christmas and the Christmas traditions goes way, way back, even before the folklore of believing that it's pagan. It's not pagan. It's way before that. Thousands and thousands of years. Like he said, it goes back to the Atlanteans. And it goes back even further than that. So what had happened with the stories, like Johnny had said, there's so many changes and traditions that got shifted up. And that's why, for example, even like I said before, from the beginning of this program, if it wasn't for the song "Here Comes Santa Claus," that on radio back in the 30s, if it wasn't for the fellow, his name was Tex Ritter. If it wasn't for Tex Ritter, and if you guys go on YouTube, you can actually look up the song and listen to it. You'll understand. If it wasn't for him who broke the song, he released it, and that every child, every adult kept on singing that song, even when they went shopping. Then they wanted to find out who Santa Claus is. Sir, the Santa Claus's original outfit was not red, it was brown. Then they realized that Santa Claus looked too dark, because it looked like a typical laborer, wearing brown clothes. And the reason why they made his clothes look brown, because they wanted him to look normal, like a poor person. Because most people that were in the living space, even back in the 11th century, even earlier during the royal time periods, anybody who actually was poor was not allowed to wear any purple or bright colors. They were only allowed to wear brown, black, and gray. That's it. That's historical. So when Santa Claus or Satan Claus, or not Satan Claus, sorry, take it back. When Santa Claus or Santa Claus, when he was either connected to the Dutch and the Germans, and like I'm hearing that so often, people kept on bringing the word Santa, and it gets to be monotonous. I'm getting sick and tired of it. So the colors of the brown was too dull. So they had to brighten them up. So it took one man who sat down and said, we need something to give it a little bit of a bright look to get the attention. And as an artist knows, anybody who works for any kind of newspaper or newspaper column, or even as a journalist, when you want to get the attention to the media as an artist, especially working for newspapers, you had to put something bright in there to get their attention. So your color red was significant. So that red is what got the attention to create a Santa Claus. Then from there on, they had to make him look so interesting. Instead of him being a plain-faced man with a small little tiny shallow beard, they went into the next level, which was Coca-Cola. And the guy who worked for Coca-Cola, okay, they said, here, create a character for us. Well, guess what? That very same man was a large, jolly man. What he really did is he looked in the mirror and saw himself. It's his mirrored image that worked for Coca-Cola that he used, and he also had a beard, but his beard was dark. And so he just changed his facial features to look thicker, longer beard, and then he put the outfit on. This is how he became famous himself. This is the artist who created Santa Claus, and he had a very similar feature. That's what he did. So that's how Coca-Cola became so well known. So you can combine all of this, but still, St. Nicholas, and it has evolved from a long-robed man wearing a large, long coat, which was off red. It was actually more of a dull maroon. So it was the Americans that changed his colors to brown. But in the Russian Orthodox, they had St. Nicholas, and St. Nicholas actually was wearing an off maroon long robe. Then later on in time, they wanted to make Santa Claus look so really, I guess, well known. So this one guy decided to sew an American flag and put it as a vest under his cloak, and then he wore the coat, and he looked like the American version of Santa Claus. And this all got changed through time. This is back in the 30s and 40s. So all of this got changed and evolved to that time. Now, as we're talking about Santa Claus or Santa Claus, but again, like I said before, his original last name, Claus, actually had an E in it. And if you ever looked up the history of it, again, it goes up to, but even goes further back. And like Johnny said, this even takes you even further back. So what he also tries to point out is that this is all to do with celebration. This is all to do with having to bring family together. And the children were special. The children used to put their shoes outside the door thinking that what they're going to receive, because basically is what was put into their shoes. It had nothing to do with bringing the gifts into the house. They put the shoes outside the door of their house. So whatever the child received, which was either a coin or a coal. Now, either way, the child never lost, because the parents still burnt wood or burnt coal in their homes. So either way, it never was a failure. The child got a coin, but a coin could have been a pence. But to them, that was a lot of money. All this fruit, all these candies came about later on, where the moms and the dads and the grandmothers decided to create something sweet and soft, sweet for the kids once a year. So there's always a variety of favors that people created and put them all together to make it more fun. And they want to make Christmas so colorful. That's where they began the Christmas parade. It became competitive between two major stores in the States. And then they had their Christmas parades. Or it was Macy's was one of the original stores that actually brought in the Santa Clauses. And then they had the Santa Claus on the parade on the very end of the tail of the parade. And another, I think it's Macy's, and I can't remember the name of the other corporate store. So there were two competitives with each other, because to them that was to bring the people in the store to buy presents for the families, to buy the goods. They made Santa Claus a novelty. Okay, and then it went all across the land, even to Canada. Canada went pretty well came in late. They I would say was probably in the after Macy's, then the word got out across the border, and then they picked it up after. Yes, it was Eaton's. Thank you very much, Diane. Eaton's Canada was that picked it up from Macy's, and then Eaton's carried on the same story, the feature, and then Woolworths, one of the two major corporations, came in, and they were decorating animated caricatures along the windows. You guys remember all the windows? Each section of window was like 8 feet wide by 4 feet deep or 5 feet deep, and they would put all these caricatures are animated, and they would move like mobiles, and everybody was standing outside the window, and they're looking at all these movable characters, that look like the elves, and they're banging, making shoes, and that sort of thing. I remember all that when I was a kid. Every province, every major corporate store had all these animators, and these guys that were making these puppet type caricatures with animated mechanics, they were very, very busy people after that, making them for the longest time. You seldom ever see those kind of machines or caricatures anymore, animated characters. You don't see them anymore because of the front of those windows outside the front major corporate stores. They hardly do it. Okay. Simpsons too. Yeah. In the time in Toronto, like Simpsons Sears, it was called Simpsons Sears. And they themselves, again, everybody was trying to come on board and try to draw the public into the store. Then they had even a Santa Claus in the malls, or the Santa Clauses in the store, because they even tried to bring Santa Claus in Simpsons Sears. They brought Santa Claus into Eaton's, and he would come in on the weekend. Okay. I'm talking about lineups. Lineups. I remember when I was, what year was this? 1964. I came to Vancouver with my parents. And my parents lived here for about 6 months, but they took me to this place called the Brentwood Mall. And I remember meeting the Santa Claus there. And like my dad and my mom brought my sister and I to this to sit down with Santa Claus. They made it big. I mean, they decorated it so huge to make him look so important. But us kids are supposed to like it, or you don't like it. I mean, some kids even cry their eyes out. I don't like it. He's scary. So it depends on the energy of the Santa Claus, right? Because some guys, if they have a scary look, you're gonna get scary photos of kids, right? Sitting down with Santa. So yeah, Pumpkinhead was eating Santa symbolic. Oh my God. Yeah. That's part of the Halloween part. Animatronics. Thank you very much. But they didn't call animatronics back then. There was actually, they call them mechanicals. Back in those years, they call them mechanical puppets, or mechanized puppets. That's what these call them. They never call animated animatronics yet. But and there was one fellow that actually was quite famous. Like, in fact, I remember watching this one show a couple of years ago, and they actually went to this guy's house, and he was selling some of his animatronics. Okay. And they were very valuable. but he refused to sell them because they're the only originals left. Now, if anybody decides to want to make them like that again, sure they can. Will anybody go other way to make those for other stores? Don't know. I have not come across any of the stores that do that anymore here in Canada, here in BC. If they are, I don't know where, but if they are doing it in the States or other parts of the world, great. This is what we need. You know, they need to get the kids to come and see this. Is like, to them, it's fascinating. Little children love to see things mobilely move. I mean, like a puppet. They like to see them move, or even have people, you know, dress up as caricatures, not with scary faces. I remember seeing some of the original photographs of Christmas costumes that people used to wear. Oh my God, the caricatures on their faces like have that look like this, like they're always mad. And no wonder it scared the kids. You know, it never had a happy face. It was always grimace look with the eyebrows down, look as if it was ready to scare you. And always a darker feature. Now, if you look at some of the original Christmas parade videos on YouTube that goes back to the 50s and 60s and 70s, you'll even see some of the old Christmas. There's actually a video of it, Christmas parades, that whenever whoever's able to record this, okay, that whether it's mostly it's newspapers, the newspapers or news corporations, they will video record these Christmas parades, okay. And when they record the Christmas parades, you'll see how they have evolved from what signs they were carrying and whatever business store they're working for, people dressed up, but that's how they were back then, right? When I was a kid living in Winnipeg, when they had the Christmas parade, I mean, it was big, it was huge. And everyone dressed up for it. This is back in the 60s. I mean, they did everything they could. In fact, they even had 4 guys pretend to dress up like the Bonanza characters in their outfits, and they would Community Chevrolet would bring these 4 guys in, and they would ask everybody to bring their kid in, their boys in, and there's always a goal, short little goal, and you get a hockey stick, and you have to, if your puck goes through one of these 3 holes, and if you score, you win something. At the same time, the guys are coming down that are meeting these characters that look like the Bonanza guys. They would get a deal to buy a car. That's Community Chevrolet. My dad worked for the company. My father was not selling cars. He was actually painting the cars. He was doing automotive work. My father was very talented, very good at that. But there's a lot of that family business was in that sort of thing. But the thing is that it was a big thing. I remember myself as a kid, there was over almost 150 kids in a gymnasium that were in, like, there were lineups of long tables of food on the table. Kids all got served the food by the people, by the adults. We're all like, it looked like out of a movie, right? And then Santa Claus, there's a stage there. Santa Claus would come out and he'd call every kid's name by name, not first name, first and last name. And each kid come up on stage and get their gift. You don't see that anymore. Hardly ever see that now. Like the corporations, the companies, whoever they work for, the companies used to do that. They've forgotten what community really means. Now, if you do have your own Christian community, if you have your own churches, your own groups of people, great. You know, it's fantastic. But we still need more of that, because there are kids out there that don't do this sort of thing. They don't know where to go, who to see. It's forgotten. A lot of it is actually being lost, and just pretty well, you know. And I think what society needs to do, if you want to keep on celebrating Christmas, we need to bring together community. We need together, even if you guys create a neighborhood, okay, a Christmas neighborhood. Now everybody celebrates through, like, you know, let's say I'm sure, like, whatever you can say, 2, 3, 4 blocks of just neighborhood celebrations, and just celebrate. I mean, sure, we do have events where people come to some of these events. Like I myself, I sell some of my wares at some of these events, but still, people still need to celebrate, right? Have community come together where the kids are involved, where there's, games, your name, whatever have you. They still need more of those. We're never enough of these. Our celebrations, and the reason why I got Johnny to come on was because talking about the real Christmas, this real story about it, the Christmas traditions, the Saint Nicholas, what it's all about, how December 25th became the birthday for the solar Messiah. And Johnny would have stayed on a lot longer, but again, he was really worried about the young man who's lost his mom today. But like I said before, there's so much to talk about, because I want to talk about the secret life of Jesus the Christ, because Johnny actually talks about that on his page. If you want to know anything regarding Johnny Enoch's work, you can actually go to his page on Facebook and find him there, and make a friend of Facebook and see what you can do, and watch some of his videos. And he's also on YouTube. He does the Gaia stuff. He's well known. He's all over the place. He was up in Egypt, I think about 3 times this year, if I'm correct. Stand correct. And he does a lot of Egyptian research. Okay, whether it's all to do with the pyramids, the pharaohs, you name it, all that, and some. He's really getting into depth of trying to decipher the hieroglyphs, that sort of thing. There's still a lot of mystery in that as well. I wonder if there's actually a hieroglyphic of Santa Claus and his sleigh on one of the pyramids. Because there's actually pictures of helicopters on there, and there's a boat on there, there's a plane on it. So I wonder if there's actually, somebody should put a Santa Claus and a sleigh, and you never know. But also, he's traveled across Europe, and he's gone to different places that relates to anything to do with extraterrestrial UFOs. You name it, that's his stuff. Okay. And what Tartarians created, starting with ancient clocks, it goes way back. Tartarianism actually goes way back. And again, there's so much there. I mean, I can change the story easily, but again, I would say, myself in my heart, I really like to enjoy what we do. I mean, I like to wear this caricature of like wearing this hat. This is comfortable as all heck. I'm actually there's a few kids. I did the Surrey Christmas lighting event for just before Christmas, and I had a couple of kids come up to me and call me Santa Claus. So, hi Santa Claus, hi Santa, and parents didn't say nothing, but the kids looked at my face, thought I was Santa. So I was like, hi, the kids. I've never been told that before in my life, so it was different. I never had a beard, just this as I am. But kids know the energy of a person, and if they know that you have a soft feature and that you're very loving, they know that energy. That's the way they are. If a child is not like your energy, and if they run away, you know why, right? Let's see. Went to 3 business Christmas parties with Santa and gifts free from the community. Wow. Good for you, Diane. Okay, so let's see here. If you guys have a Christmas story you want to share, you're more than welcome to. Anything that you did when you were a child, or if you remember anything has a great memory of Christmas to you, I'd love to hear from you guys. Actually, what I'll do is I can actually have an open line. I did this last week. I hope you guys enjoyed when we had my Bill on the show last week. We were actually making contact with people that are passed away. We had the ghost box. That was fun to do. Make it a Christmas special, because it was cool. It was fun to do. I try to do as much as I possibly can to get the word out for people. And these are some of the fun memories I had as a kid growing up. And I know Johnny would have wanted to talk a little longer. This is normally he would, but I didn't blame him to make the great escape, because this young man needed some help. So, he had to be by his side. So anyways, that's okay. And again, some people don't like to hear some of the negativeness of it, but what I'm trying to do is to let the world know, or let the public know, that not everything is a bad name to anything you celebrate. If you put a bad name to everything you celebrate, then there's no sense celebrating anything. You know, like, why do you guys celebrating? What are you going to celebrate? Because one day they're going to say, oh, well, if you celebrate your birthday, it's not a good thing either. Like, really? If you celebrate this, your retirement, not a good thing either. Well, it's how you see it. It's, so yeah. Thank you guys. Nikki and also Summer Rain. Nice to see you guys coming in the chat room. Probably didn't see and hear Johnny Enoch was with us. He just passed, just left us, not passed away. He just left us out of the room. And, so he's just, having to, he's actually helping someone whose, mother passed away, suddenly. So, they're being there for them to watch over them. So anybody's asking me, where's Johnny? Well, let's put it this way. He's up north. I can't say where. He's up north. Yeah, I just missed him. He was, but if you want to refer back to the interview, folks, after the program is over, you can refer back and share that with others. We like to share as much as possible regarding the history of Christmas and what it means to us. Now, if you guys have if you guys do have a great story to talk about regarding what you thought about what Christmas meant to you, I'd love to hear from it. I can open the lines. I'll give you my landline. Okay. That's 604. I'll give you guys my landline number because I'm actually live in that number right now. Let's see. I'll give you that landline number. Opening the lines today for if you guys want to call in and share your story about Christmas and what your most fondest memory is when you were a kid growing up. Anything you did that was crazy. I'm sure you always have something to talk about. I mean, I share my story as long as, again, one of the most fondest memories is that one time when I was really, really small, where, I mean, I remember before I went to bed, there was a small few presents under the tree. And then when I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I heard this closing of a door, and I got up. Like, I shouldn't have heard it, but I came out and heard it, and the whole room was wrapped around with presents, and I was like, whoa. And mom and dad were still sleeping, so they didn't even know. Someone came right through the door. I wonder who that was, because we had no chimney in that house. So at least I don't know. We never had a chimney, so they came right through the front door and out the front door, not the back door. So if you guys have a fond memory you want to share, you're more than welcome to call in 604-818-8375, and I'd love to hear from you. So I have the line open. It's right to hear. I'd like to hear from you guys. So let's see what else is there. Or if you guys are from another country, or if you have celebrated Christmas differently, we'd love to hear from you and see what your thoughts are. What do you think Christmas is like? But not in a negative way if you can. Like, let's not talk about where it's bad. But if you have something amazing that you want to share that relates to what your experience was at Christmas time, I'd love to hear from you. Okay. Okay. So let's see here. Oh, and congratulations to our good friend out there, Travis Travis Willier Mastusis, my friend. Congratulations to you. Your new book has been released, Fort Sunder. And big shout out to you. Hope you guys, hope you get a lot of your books sold. If your listeners don't know or viewers don't know what the story's about regarding Fort Sumter, look him up. Okay, Travis Mastusis. He's actually, sometimes he's in the chat room. If he's not here, you can find him on Facebook. I'm sure you can find him in there, or you can ask me and I can forward you on to him. He's always got some really good. He's quite the artist, by the way, artist and writer. And he's into a lot of the UFO paranormal stuff. So it's nice to have strong support. Okay, what else we got here? I guess everybody's afraid to call in. They're like, I don't know if I should do that. God, you guys come on the line. You guys like to write. Why don't you guys call in and talk? Call my number. Call your and we'll see what happens. Or you can call me, or you can leave leave your number, and I'll phone you back if you can't afford the long distance call. I can try that out. I'm sure that'll work. So I'm keeping open line. This is a Christmas celebration one because we're in between after like this. We're in that what you call it. We're after the Boxing Day. I'm actually watched some people. Oh my God. I watched this one video. They did a Boxing Day special where they're in this bakery. And I'm sure some of you guys may have seen the bakery, but there's a baker's coming out with a big trolley full of cakes. Like they're stacked up maybe about 6 feet in height. All full of cakes. And the guy who's trolling out, I would say the case, by the width of my space, I think there's about 6 to a deck, 6 or 8 to a deck. And anyways, the guy pushed it out and he says, there you go. And all of a sudden, everybody, not one person take one at a time. There were some people taking 2 or 3 of them at a time, stacking them up. And actually were people tripping over each other. Literally one lady got knocked over on the floor trying to get to the cakes. I mean, are people that desperate to get these cakes? Now, I'm not sure where this video was taken, whether it's in the States or Canada, but when I seen this, I went, are you kidding me? But that's how people are sometimes now. I'm not sure if that was spreading Christmas cheer or that was just like, I'm not sure. But simply, I'm surprised that people didn't actually share, like take one cake and let others have one each, not 2 or 3 or 4. So maybe the price was good. Don't know. Great discounts, right? So let's see here. And also too, hope you guys did have a great Christmas. A lot of people. Okay. So Catherine says, super cycle bike, let's see. My brother bought me also from Maine, USA, my puppy. Okay. Best member holiday. And Summer Rain says, my brother, who we just laid down, told me the story. Him and his girlfriend saw a UFO landing outside of the garage. We saw the door open and him and his girlfriend took off before they saw what it was coming out of that big ship. Wow. Cool. So, yeah. And I know where Gerard is. This is up in Alberta, folks. And yeah. Did he describe the features of the beings that came out of the ship? Do you know anything about that? Let me know. Okay. Diane says, reminds me of the lineups at the old Honest F's or Honest Ed's Toronto free turkey giveaway every year. Really? Honest Ed's were giving away free turkeys? Wow. Well, yeah, maybe because it could be an overabundance of turkeys. I wonder who bought them all. Went to 3 business Christmas parties and Santa gives free gifts from that community. Well, good. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Eaton's okay. Train sets. Yeah. People. Here's the thing. I was actually watching. There was actually the most. I guess say they talk about the toys of USA or Canada or the world. And trains were really big back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, 70s, maybe 80s. Trains were nuts. I mean, especially when they came out for kids and as adults. My best friend Dale, he's got quite the collection. I remember being at his house. He's got a second trailer. And that trailer was 1/3 full of trains and train tracks. I mean, he had already had it all set up. It was like, wow, phenomenal. Okay, no, he said they backed up the vehicle up, then the door opened. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Derek.
Who am I speaking to?
Ernie.
Hi, how are you doing, Ernie?
Not too bad.
How was your Christmas?
Excellent.
Good.
Yeah, I had a good time with the kids this year.
Yeah, and you just lost Shirley this past year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry for your loss, my friend. She was a good friend of
Yeah.
mine. Good friend.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. So, what is your most fondest of Christmases that you remember?
Basically, it was when we were young and all of us kids were together.
Yeah.
And all of our parents were together with us.
Yeah.
And we were on the farm, and Dad brought in our first Christmas tree.
Crazy, eh?
And but anyways, yeah, we had a pretty good time there at that time, and we decorated the tree, and the first time we ever had a tree, and so we just got out of foster care at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and we came to downstairs, and we seen all the presents. We couldn't believe it. That was our best time ever.
Yeah. Like I said, the most fondest moments, you go back to your childhood and you think to yourself, wow, were we very fortunate to have how our parents loved us.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You know, especially
Yeah.
if your dad went out and got a tree, right?
Yes, we did. We went out and cut it up, and all of us kids, there was 8 of us.
It's so special, isn't it? Like, it's so special to get your own chosen tree.
Yeah, it was.
You know, you're not going into a store to buy it. You're not going to superstores. You're not going to Safeways. You're not going to none of these major corporate stores.
Nope.
You're buying these wrapped up trees because most of them are dry before you get them anyways.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about you're getting your own real tree, the one that you got yourself. It makes you feel really good. Like, that's my tree.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's why I'm so emotional right now, because that was one of the most special times ever.
Yeah.
You know, and we never, like, we always rejoiced, like, after that, but that was the most special time ever.
It's the biggest memory. It's a memory you never forget. And I said, I had that memory too. So,
yeah, and we had made our own Christmas ornaments, and like we did carvings and stuff. It was great.
Yeah. Did you actually do any paper Christmas ornaments, or did you make your, like, how did you make yours? What were you using?
We went outside. Basically got different like spruce trees and stuff like parts off the trees and berries, and we made our own paper, like paper stars. We had like old egg cartons. We made things with egg cartons.
Yeah.
Angels with egg cartons. We made our own tinsel, like out of paper, silver paper, or whatever we could find.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was great. Like that kind of thing. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah, a homemade Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Did you ever have? Did you ever use any of the old Christmas ornaments at the time? Did you ever have any in your house at the time?
We didn't have any of that at all. No, we made our own. Yeah, everything was handmade by us kids and the parents. Yeah.
And did anybody carve anything to look like a caricature off a piece of wood that hung it off a tree?
Yeah, that's what we did, carvings. Like my brother was a good carver when he was younger. And he carved like different, like birds, a wolf, and different kinds of wood carvings that he did.
Good.
And we painted them with like we made our own paint with like like berry paint.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like we use strawberries for red, and like cranberries for red as well, and combination of them, and different things, like, and made our own fruit for Christmas. Like we did a lot of preserving in them days, because we couldn't afford much.
Yeah.
And Dad and I went out hunting, and we finally got our first turkey in the backyard, as a matter of fact. And like, it was, and Dad was so proud.
You got yourself a turkey.
Yeah, we got our first turkey, and boy, that was the biggest turkey I'd ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, like I said, you know, I always tell people, if you really want to, I mean, let's say we never had the word Christmas, say it never existed.
Yeah.
But you still brought something in and celebrated it, because it was like coming together a family, and you did it because you wanted to.
Yeah. And not only that too, we always used to have Christmas carolers and stuff, and we used to go Christmas caroling around the whole community, and that's how we, you know, when we got like hot chocolate, or we even made pulled taffy and all those things.
Yeah.
You know, in them days. And,
eggnog, lots of eggnog.
Yeah, we made our own eggnog, because we had our own, like we had our own cows and chickens.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
You know, thing is, like, those are great memories. You see, like, people have forgotten the authenticity of what Christmas really means. And you know, it's not always going to the store and buy everything and put it on a tree, or buy the tree and put it in the house. Nothing's in it. Or people are like, what they do now, they buy these fake tree. They buy the fake trees, and they just drop it down and say, okay, here you go, it's all done. It's already set up. And then, I already worked hard for that one. Like, yeah, right. You guys just don't know what a tree is about, like what its purpose really is.
Yeah.
So,
but then, yeah, I had a good time with the kids this year, anyways.
Good.
And my, I guess they'd be called my new in-laws.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all went, had turkey together, and had a good time this Christmas. So
cool.
Lots of gift changing, and
if you want to share with our listeners that you got two granddaughters that are famous wrestlers.
Yes, I do. I have two professional wrestlers. My daughter was a professional wrestler as well. Her name is Raven Lake. And my granddaughter, the oldest granddaughter, she is Bambi Hall. And they wrestle in the Lower Mainland here. And Liza Hall is my other. She's also a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
And they've have belts and world champions, and oh boy, I could go on.
And these young ladies actually did wrestle at AEW.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
They wrestled some of Ring of Honor a couple of times. Liza has wrestled down in Mexico as a luchador, Canada against the luchadors.
Yeah. And
she wrestled there. They went to Japan. And they wrestled in Japan. Couple of them one of them wrestled in India.
Wow.
And they wrestle around the Lower Mainland and down the United States and across Canada.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Well, give the girls my big hugs to them for me.
Yes, they told me to say hi to you and give you all the best.
Yeah. If you folks may not know, I'm good friends with all the families, so yeah, I'm very proud of I'm proud of everybody. You know, everybody's done so well. It's good. Well, I'm glad you guys had a great Christmas. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Well, thank you for calling in.
Okay.
Appreciate it. You take care.
And thank you again. Thank you again, Derrick,
Take
for
care.
everything you've done for me.
You're welcome, my friend. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Okay. Yeah. Wow. We got anybody else wants to call in? There's let's see who we have here. And Summer said for me the excitement was with my cousins and opening up my little China dish table set. I sat eating my breakfast my grandma prepared for me, and she even put tea in my little teapot. Cute. That's cute. Tea in the teapot. That's good. See, again, memories of your childhood it's so important, folks. Like there's something in that it doesn't hurt to look back. I mean, there's something that you're so fond of. Never give up those dreams. And I always tell people this: don't ever give up your dreams, because it's important what you've had in the past. Okay, try and call the other landline number, guys. Let's see here. 604-818. In the chat room if you can. Okay. If you're calling from that number, 604-818-8375. That's my line I'm accepting in right now. So it's here in the BC region. If you can do that. Call in again. Now, who was saying here something was about paper mache. Okay, well, great, awesome family. What's this? Diane says we in the city picked up alive cut trees from old empty car lots, $5 or under. Wow, yeah, that's good. This is what they would do. I mean, I remember some of the times the guys would do that, right? Area code 306. Hello.
Hey, it's Keith, Derrick.
Hey, Keith. How's it going?
Oh, not bad. I just wanted you know where the Sandylands Forest is, right?
No.
Oh, you lived in Winnipeg. You grew up in Winnipeg.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Winnipeg. Yeah, Sandylands. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Well, when I first got married there in Winnipeg, we went out to the Sandylands Forest and cut down a tree. And brought it back, and we had 2 cats at the time. And we went and set them up. And that cat, you ever see those cartoons where the cat's running, going nowhere?
Yeah.
Well, these 2 cats, they ran around and finally ran upstairs, and they were scared of the tree at first, But later on, they started knocking off ornaments and climbing the tree. Yeah. But I'll never forget the
typically
first time
ingrained in the cat to climb a tree. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what do you call those? You make those things that go around the chain links, paper chain links.
Paper chain. Yeah, paper.
I don't know what they call them, but I can remember we used to try. The whole family would be cutting paper and we'd be gluing chain links,
Yeah.
And putting that on the tree.
They call it garland. I think they call it garlands.
We had ornaments. I remember that. But the ornaments, they're always glass, and if they fell off, they'd crack on the floor.
Yeah.
But it was a good time.
Well, that's the thing.
I enjoyed it.
You took a chance in putting your ornaments on a tree, and if a cat gets at it, and next thing you know, it breaks and go like, oh, So, I mean, that you got to learn to hang on to your stuff. If you do have one that's loose, make sure you wind it well so it doesn't get knocked off. Or
anyway, I'm going to let you go, Derrick, and let someone else call.
No problem. Thank you for calling in.
Bye
Keith.
for now.
Take care. because someone's calling Keith on the other line. That's why he hung up. I could hear a phone ringing in the back behind him. That's funny. Yeah. The chain, the people is the paper chain. They gave it a name for it. I'm going to call it not a garland. It's oh my God, guys, I forgot the name of it. You would make a strung up. Oh yeah, Diane says some people strung up popcorn. I think we did that. No, not me. Somebody I know many years ago. I remember seeing people taking popcorn. They would put a needle through it, and they would hang popcorn around their tree. Yes, that's right too. They did too. It was a string, like a regular common cotton string, and they would put a needle hole through the popcorn, and they would hang popcorn around the tree. Oh my God, that was crazy. But again, that's very inventive, right? People will try to find everything, anything they can. I remember we used to use tinsel. Remember that like a mylar type of tinsel, very thin string, and we used to throw that stuff on top of the tree, and it would really cover, like it would really cover it all really well on the, on the branches and everything but the crazy part of it is if you have any animals, don't recommend it on the tree, because apparently they said if the animals ever got to that stuff, they can choke on it. So they would say, if you got garland, if you do have an animal, don't put the garland in the tree. But if you got something that's not going to be chewed by an animal, you're fine, right? Ice, yeah. People put ice. They used to call them icicles too. Paper link chains. Yeah, there's a different name to call them. Icicle silver tinsel. That's what it was. Tinsel. That's right. Yeah, icicle silver tinsel, and that was around for, oh my God. This is in the 60s, mid 60s. 60s. I would say 66, 67 is where that tinsel was very, very well known. Everybody was, I think they were tinsel crazy. There was tinsel being sold everywhere because it was cheap. I think mom paid 25 cents for a container. And she bought like, oh my God, she must have bought 5 or 6 of them. And we had tinsel. I mean, I remember one year she did nothing but tinsel. It was Dad put the lights on. It was, yeah, Mom put all the tinsel on first, and then they put the light bulb, the decorations, like your very delicate decorations on after, and it looked really sharp. It looked really good. I don't think I have any pictures of my sister has all the photographs of the Christmas stuff, but I don't have any pictures of our family with Christmas trees from the past, because she's got all that. But eventually I'll have to go down and get some copies made. But I remember that it was a lot of fun. You don't see tinsel trees anymore, either because more and more people now are getting cats, and it's not really healthy for an animal to be chewing on that stuff. Not a good thing. So, but we used to have that on their trees every day. Yeah, we had dogs, but they didn't bother with it. Indoor dogs. They were small, but they didn't bother with it. It's just, and when I lived on the farm, we never had indoor cats. They were always outdoors. But when I lived in this town, in the city, I think the first time that I stopped using tinsel was when they were warning people not to use it. You still put icicles on the tree? Oh, okay. Corlin says she still puts icicles on her tree. Hey, if it's okay, if you feel up for it, go for it. But I think that they're not making a big deal about it as much as they used to. Like, I remember it used to be a really big thing. But what they're really become so inventive now is that, you guys ever notice that these trees have become like, my daughter, what she's done, and her kids and other people that she knows. My daughter would take 2 kinds of detergents, and she would mix the 2 types of detergents together, and they would make it look like snow. And they would take this and they would put it on top of the branches, and it looked like as if the tree has snow, and it would preserve it, like it would look like a snow, and look really, really cool. They would do this every year. And but it says actually there's 2 kinds of soaps. Like, you put one, I think it's the green soap liquid and another detergent. I'm not sure what detergent it is. Put those two together, and for some reason it goes, expands, and it looks really cool. And it looks like snow, and it's not harmful to any animals. So it's they don't eat it. It looks really cool. I have to look it up again. You may have to look it up. And people are taking these sprays of the bottles now, and they're snowing their snow their trees. That was ongoing. That was actually something that came out in the 70s, mid 70s. They would spray those. It looked like snow, but the original one that you can make is by hand. They make a big pot full of them, and they would start making it. They did that as well. There was a lot of people that were quite inventive. I remember one of our viewers earlier tonight said that they even put a star on top of the tree, which is true. I forgot about the star. I'm used to putting the angel on top. I don't think I ever put a star on the top of the tree. Maybe once in my life, but I think most time it's always an angel. But yes, you could put the stars on top of the trees. So they were like these stars actually would have a light in them too. So you hook it up to the light, so the star would actually glow a light. Spray on snow for windows and picture stencils and windows. That's what it was. Yeah, Diane. It was actually the snow. So if you guys remember any of that kind of stuff that actually did exist, I mean, I remember like there's some things that we did that was crazy, and there's people still doing that. And there's actually some people that I've actually watched some of their videos, and they are using the sprays, but they're doing art on the windows with those sprays, but they're using a razor blade to look like something really cool. Look like a snow scene. They're actually painting their windows with white paint, like a acrylic, and then they'll start drawing and start doing art on the windows with it as well. So there's so many great things that we can do. Anyways, I really appreciate you guys being on the program. I want to thank Johnny Enoch for coming in and sharing some of his information and his history. I was hoping that we'd go a little bit longer, but again, we were shortened because normally Johnny would stay on with me for a couple hours, so this is uncommon, but that's fine. Also, too, next week we got we're coming into the new year, right? And it's going to be. Let's see. Yeah. So the next show will be on the 4th. Yeah. So I hope you guys have a great 2024. And again, we're coming out. 2024 is going to be the year of celebration, year of positive feedback. Now, I want to say this before I shut it down. I had a dream, and I'll share this with you guys. And it was important. They told me to share this with all of you. All the viewers and listeners now as we speak. I dreamt about gold. Okay. And what it relates to the dream is it looks to me what it looked like that someone people are trying to sell gold to people on the streets, as well as coming to whatever, and they're trying to sell gold to you, or you think it's gold. Even including jewelry, that sort of large chunks of those. It looks like those necklace chains, that sort of thing. There are going to be a lot of people this coming year, 2024, at the beginning of the year, are going to try to sell you fake gold. Okay, fake gold. Be very careful. And I did say to you to invest in gold and silver, but make sure you buy there's actually a special item you can buy in Canadian Tire or wherever you're living, and you can actually do a test. You can do a test on the gold and see if it's real gold or not. It's a liquid test. It's a small vial kit. You can buy that in a store. And once you get that test and the liquid test and you touch it, and if it shows you it's going to be real, it's real gold, then it is real gold. But make sure you do the test correctly, because right now, the beginning of this year, up maybe to around mid-year, they're going to try and sell you fake gold. There's people that are trying to be desperate to see if they can make fast dollars. I'm warning you, giving you guys a big heads up. This is the warning I got from Spirit. They said they're going to try and sell sell fake gold and fake gold buyers. They're making themselves pretend that they're buyers and they're not. Be very careful. Watch carefully. If you're going to do any gold investing, like real gold investing, make sure you buy your own kits. Okay, buy your own kits, because if you don't, you're going to regret it. Because they're giving people a big heads up. Let's see here, because it's when I wrote this down, I thought it was so important and people need to know this. Let's see here, what else was there? Yeah, people buying gold, because reason why there's more gold being purchased now, because eventually the government's going to try to remove the dollar out of the service industry, where our paper money is not worth anything. They're going to try to get you to go digital. That's why you're trying to get people to go gold and silver, because they cannot turn you down if you need to present a piece of gold and silver to buy product. Okay, but it's important for you to do this right now. The government's going to try to take the money, take paper money away from you, and say it has no value. It still has legal tender. Okay, on the piece of paper, on your your money is actually made of duck paper. Okay, I'm not sure if it's made of real mail or duck, but they call it duck paper, and it's actually real, true, legal tender. So they cannot tell you cannot buy something with something that you have legal tender to. There are stores right now, as we speak, right now today, are trying to get people to go digital. And now one person said, okay, I'll try to use my credit card. Now they're refusing credit cards. Some other stores are wanting to use your eyes as identity to purchase something. In the meantime, they can also take the money out of your bank account by using your eyes. No, I don't agree with that, because that means you can walk through any store with your eyes open, and they can deduct anything you touch. You may not take it with you. So this is basically a con. Be very careful, folks. Warning, warning, warning. Just like the old TV series where the robot goes, warning, warning, right? Keep an eye and ear open. So buy the test, the gold test. It's a little small kit. It's worth it. Keep it with you. You can carry it in your purse, bag, whichever how. If anybody's trying to sell you gold, or if they arrange a meeting, that's fine. Do it somewhere where you're with other people. Don't doing it by yourself. But there's going to be a lot of fake gold being sold to people. They try to start it now, but it's going to get worse when you start going to some of these events. Somebody's going to try and sell gold at events somewhere. Be very careful. It's not real gold. Make sure you bring your test with you, and if they say, wait, we don't want you to use that test on the gold, then don't buy it. Don't even touch it. Stay away. Okay? That's a warning. It's a heads up for all of you here. That's what Spirit told me to say this. So, and you'll hear more stories about people selling fake gold. Okay? Because let's put it this way, if they can't get you on the fake money, they're going to try and get you in fake gold. Okay? So, heads up, guys. Right? Okay. Thank you guys for being part of the program, and you guys be good to each other, and love you guys lots, and we'll talk to you guys next time. In the meantime, be good to each other and have a great new year. Celebrate it. Celebrate and have a great time. Okay. Celebrate it and have a great time. It's worth your while to celebrate well, because the new year 2024 is bigger and better than ever, ever, ever. And it's a year of investing. It's a year of doing so well, succession. So they're not losing money. You'll be making riches in your life, and you'll be seeing great things coming in. But do not fear, do not fret. Have a great time and enjoy it. If you start seeing anything with the media that's trying to scare you, just avoid it. It's just a freaking movie. Okay, it's a gameplay. Trust me, guys. I've done it so long, got so used to it. Okay. Peace out. Have a great time.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I gave it to someone special. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears,
Big shout out to DJ Hal Ryder. He actually did this whole mix. Thank you.